These are the code writing examples on Nitro 5.4. The text message class. So the text message class has three instance variables: message, sender, and receiver. So when we create a new text message, we have to specify who it's from, which is the sender, who it's to, which is the receiver, and the text of the message, which gets stored in message. And there's a toString method. So right now, we can create a text message. I'm going to say GA equals new text message, and I need a string from, a string to, so a string who it's from, Abraham Lincoln, a string to its who it's to, and a string which is the text message. Okay, and we already have a toString method, so we should be able to say system.out.println GA, and it'll look for the toString method and print it out. Abraham Lincoln texted the United States 7 years ago. Our fathers brought forth on this continent. Okay, so that's all working fine. But now they want us to implement three different getter methods or accessor methods: public string get sender and public string get receiver and public string get message. So all we have to do to get the sender is return the variable sender, and return receiver, or get receiver should just return receiver, and get message should just return message. Don't think it gets much easier than that. I think that's all we need to do. So now if I can add to my code here, I can system.out.println this message is from, and then I could say system.out.println ga.get sender, and that'll print out that it's from Abraham Lincoln. And then system.out.println. I'm just writing code that uses the accessor methods that we just wrote. This message is to, and then ga.get receiver, and then system.out.println the message is, and then system.out.println ga.get message. So that's going to do basically what the toString method does, but it's going to do it all. It's going to do it on three different lines instead of all in the same line. The message is from Abraham Lincoln. The message is to the United States. The message is, there we have it. So that was a little bit more than we had to do. All we really had to do was implement the getter methods, but I hope that's all okay when we test it. Okay, so that's it for Nitro 5.4.5. Up next, 5.4.6, which is full Dragon class. So this should be interesting. We have a Dragon class, which needs a constructor and getters and other methods. Right now, all it has is a toString. The Dragon is at level blah and attacks with blah. So we have to implement an instructor and everything else. So a class called Dragon, it should have an attack and a level. We got that. The Dragon's level is an integer and the attack is a string. So in our constructor, we need a string. Well, it says to take the level as the first argument. So we're going to say we need an int that is the level, and we need a string which is the attack. And then the instance variable attack will be set equal to the attack that was passed to us as a parameter, and the instance variable level will be set to the level that was passed to us as a parameter. Takes the level first argument, attack as the second argument, and then should have two getter or accessor methods, public string get attack, and that's got to be public string because attack is a string. And then we need public int get level because level is an int. Okay, there's the two getter methods. You should also have a method called fight. So we're going to say public void fight. So fight's not going to return everything. Oh, no, it does say return a string. So returns a string. Should return a string that repeats the attack once for each level. So for int I equals 0, I less than level, I plus plus. So whatever the level is for this particular dragon, we are going to make an attack string. Excuse me. We're going to return a string that repeats the attack. So let's start that off as an empty string. I'm going to call it this attack, but I'm not going to, let's start it off as the empty string. And then we're going to say this attack plus equals attack. So every time we go through the loop, we're going to add whatever attack is. So in their example, every time through the loop, we're going to add a greater than sign. And then when we're done with all that, we're going to return this attack. So I think that's all we want to do there. And that. So we should have a constructor. We got that, we got that, we got that. So then to test this, create a dragon. So dragon, which I'll call my dragon, equals new dragon. And I need a level, which I'm going to say 5, and I'm going to need a string, which I'll call j. So system.out.println my dragon. Let's test the toString method first. Oh, let's see, I got too many quotes right there. Okay, run code. Dragon is at level 5 and attacks with J. Okay, so then we're going to say system.out.println my dragon.attack. So this should print out the attack, which is J, 5 times. Okay, what do I not get over here? Oh, fight. I'm sorry, fight, not attack, fight. J, 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 J. So I think that's what they wanted us to do. Okay, looks like they checked an attack that was a tilde. So let's say we have a tilde as an attack, and the level is 10. So when this dragon attacks, it should attack with 10 tildes. All right, so all that's looking okay. So I think we're done with Nitro 5.4.6. On to Nitro 5.4.7, which is another dragon class. So write a class called dragon. It should have a name and a level and whether or not it can breathe fire. So for the constructor, public dragon, and we need some parameters, and our instance variables will have to be set to the parameters that are passed to us. So a constructor should take name as the first argument. I'm going to call it the name. And level as the second argument, so int the level. And the constructor should initialize can breathe fire based on the dragon's level. So we're not going to require can breathe fire as a parameter. We're going to say if level is greater than or equal to 70, then can breathe fire equals true. Otherwise, can breathe fire will equal false. So that's the initialization of the can breathe fire instance variable. Okay, I think that's it for the constructor. For the getters, we need a public string get name, which will return the dragon's name. We need a public int get level, which will return the dragon's level. We need a public boolean is fire breather, which will return can breathe fire. Constructor 3 getter methods. You should also have a method called attack. So public void attack. And this method does not return anything. So that's why we got void right there. If the dragon can breathe fire, so if can breathe fire, it's so nice to have descriptive names of our variables. If can breathe fire, then we're going to do system.out.println. What are we going to print? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then they say 14. And then they say 14. And then they say 10. Okay. If the dragon cannot breathe fire, so we're going to say else, we should do system.out.println in quotes. I think that's tilde space, tilde space, tilde space. Something like that. And then one more generic method called, I say generic meaning not a getter, accessor, not a mutator, called gain experience, that takes no parameters, but it should add 10 to the dragon's level. So then we can just say level plus equals 10 and update the can breathe fire if necessary. So once again, we're going to come up here. I'm just going to copy what we wrote up here. So we're adding 10 to the dragon's experience, to the dragon's level, and if that makes the level now greater than 70, then we're going to change can breathe fire to true. Okay. Now right here it says if necessary. That might cause me to change something right here. I'm just going to put a note to myself, if necessary. Constructor that takes two parameters, get name, get level, is fire breather, gain experience, attack. I think we're good. Now, if I just run my code, I don't think it's going to do much because we don't have anything over here. Oh, public void. Okay, what does it not like? Oh, I did not do my variables here. The instance variable name should be set equal to the parameter the name. Instance variable level should be set to the parameter the level. Okay, so that runs without error. So let's do a new dragon. Dragon J equals new dragon, which has a name of J, and I'm going to make the level 55. And then I'm going to do system.out.println J. And let's see what happens. We've constructed Dragon J is at level 55. Okay, so that looks good so far. Now, let's do something else. Let's do J attack. So since J is only at level 55, the attack looks like 3 little weak puffs of smoke. Okay, so then let's say J dot gain experience. And then let's print out J again. So J is now at 65. And if we do that again, if we do J.gain experience and print out J again, now it's at 75. So now if we say J.attack, we should get the breathing of, there we go. And also we could say, right here I want to say system.out.println J.getName is fire breather, question mark, space, and then we're going to space, and then plus sign, and then J dot, what was that method called? Is fire breather. With 2 parentheses like that. So if I've done that, okay. So Dragon J is at level 55. J is fire breather, false. Puff, puff, puff. Dragon J is at level 65. J is fire breather, still false. Dragon J is at level 75. J is fire breather is now true, and then we get that. I think this is doing everything that we need it to do. But I want to go back to one little part of the class, just to be a little bit picky. They said, when we gain experience, you should add 10 to the dragon's level, okay? Then update the can breathe fire if necessary. So my thought was, there's 2 ways to interpret that. Update the can breathe fire if necessary, meaning if the dragon's level is now greater than 70, then we set the can breathe fire variable to true. But my thought was, what if the level was already greater than 70? If it's already greater than 70, then the can breathe fire should already be set to true. Therefore, there's no reason for us to set it to true. So I'm going to say this. Well, actually, let me say this here so we can see what's going on. System.out.println, updating experience I'm going to write something right here. System.out.println, updating experience, and then I'm going to put something right here just so we can see on our printout what's going on. Updating can breathe fire. Okay, so this should not cause any error. It's just going to print out a little bit more details about what's going on during the program execution. So, updating experience, but we're not at 70 yet. Updating experience, and now we're at 75, so it's updating can breathe fire. So all that's going great. Now, let me do all of this one more time. And this is going to get to my little nitpicky point. So we were at 65, we gained experience, so we're at 75, and because we're now at 75, we're updating the can breathe fire to true. So now J is a fire breather, true, and that's what the attack looks like. So we update experience again. So now we're at 85, and we update can breathe fire again. I don't feel like we should be updating can breathe fire because it was already true. So why are we bothering to make it true when it's already true? Now, dragon is at 85, can breathe fire, true. So all that's good. I just don't feel like we should be doing this. So here's what I would like to change. Here's what I propose we change. If the level is greater than or equal to 70 and can breathe fire is false, then we can update the can breathe fire to true. Otherwise, there's no reason to update can breathe fire. So we're at 65. We update experience. We update can breathe fire. Now J is a dragon at 75. And it's a fire breather true. This is the attack. Then we update experience. So we got here, but notice now we're not updating can breathe fire because this dragon was already a fire breather, so there's no reason to update it to true when it was already true. So that's very nitpicky, but that's, I think, is a better way to write that. And to make this a little bit cleaner, I don't even have to say can breathe fire equals false. Can breathe fire is a Boolean. So if it equals false, I'm going to say not can breathe fire. If the level is greater than or equal to 70 and not can breathe fire, then let's update can breathe fire. Let's make sure that works correctly. So the level was 65, not a fire breather. Updated experience, so now we're at 75. Updating can breathe fire to true. So now J is a dragon at level 75. Fire breather is true. We update experience again. So now we're at 85, but we never came in here to do this. I like that a lot better. But now I'm going to comment out this because I don't want this to fail the grader. If I left those in there, that would fail the grader. Let's check the code. Make sure we're still all good. Okay, so much for Nitro 5.4.7. Now we're on to 5.4.8, which I think is the end of Nitro 5.4. So a chef's best meal. We have a chef tester, we have a chef class, and we have a meal class, neither one of which have been implemented. So we need to create two classes, meal and chef. A meal consists of three attributes: a name, so we'll give that string name, the number of calories, that'll be probably an int, and a recipe. Okay, so in our constructor for a meal, we're probably going to need to take all three of those parameters, and we're going to have to store them. We're going to have to make our name equal to some parameter that was sent to us, calories equal to some parameter that was sent to us, and a recipe equal to some parameter that was sent to us. So it says three attributes. Okay, so it looks like we're doing name of the meal, and then the calories, and then the recipe. So we need a string, which is the name. We need an int, which is the calories, and we need a string, which is the recipe. So name will be set equal to the parameter the name. Calories will be set equal to the parameter the calories, and the instance variable recipe will be set equal to the parameter the recipe. So constructor is done. Okay, so then the meal class should include three getters: public string get name, which will return name, public int get calories, which will return the variable calories, or the value of the variable calories, public string get recipe, which will return the value of the variable recipe. So there's the 3 getters, and we also need a public string toString. Also needs a toString that provides the name and the number of calories. So they want us to do this. They want us to return the name of the dish and then a comma and a space, which has space, and then the number of calories, so the variable calories, and then quote space calories period end quote semicolon. So that's the toString method for the meal. Okay, now let's comment out chef, and let's comment out the rest of this just to make sure this is going okay without a hitch so far. I don't want to type a whole bunch of stuff and then find out we screwed up. Okay, so now we uncomment this stuff here, and let's work on the chef class. So in the chef class also has 3 instance variables. The chef's name, so that's probably going to be a string. The name of the restaurant, that'll be a string. Restaurant. And their best meal. Ooh, so the meal should be a meal object. So we're going to make this a meal object called best meal. So the constructor public chef needs a string for the name of the chef. It needs a string for the restaurant, and it needs a meal object, which we'll for right now call the best meal. And so our constructor is going to say name equals the name that was passed to us as a parameter. Instance variable restaurant equals the restaurant that was passed to us as a parameter. And instance variable meal, well, best meal, should equal the best meal that was passed to us as a parameter. Chef class should also have getter methods, public string get name, which is going to return the name of the chef, public string get restaurant, which is going to return the name of the restaurant, which is just this variable here, and then public meal get meal for each instance variable of their meal. So this is going to be get meal. Oh, do we have a get meal already over here? We don't have anything called get meal, so I think we're okay calling this one get meal. And that should return best meal. So the chef class should have 3 getter methods for all instance variables. So that's those 3 there. And they put this in italics, as well as getter methods for each instance variable of their meal. So the chef has a best meal called best meal. So we should be able to do this. Public get meal recipe, which will return the chef's best meal dot. Remember, in the meal class, we wrote a method called get recipe. So we're going to come over here and say we're going to return best meal dot get recipe. And similarly, we're going to have a get meal calories. Remember, this is in the chef class. So when we're getting the meal calories, we're getting the calories of the chef's best meal. So whatever meal object is the chef best meal, we're going to call the get calories method. So we should have a get calories method over there. And then finally, they want us to do a public get meal name, which will, we don't want to return name because that'll be the name of the chef. We want to return the name of his favorite recipe. So we're going to return best meal dot get name. And finally, the chef class should have a toString. So public string toString. And how do they want us to do that? It prints the name of the chef. So return chef. Okay, return the chef's name and space works at space. And then Chuck E. Cheese, really? That would be the name of the restaurant. And then in quotes space and is best known for, and then we want the name of his favorite recipe. So this is going to be get meal name, which we just got done writing. Get meal name, and then in quotes a colon and a space, which, you know what? It's already going to print this if we just do the toString for get meal name. So we should just be able to do this. We should just be able to say, and is best known for, what do we call that? Best meal. Best meal. Best meal is a meal object. So when we try to display best meal, it's going to go to the toString of the meal object, which is going to be the name of the meal and the calories. So we don't have to reinvent all that. All we have to do is say that. So I think, fingers crossed, this will work. Let's look at our tester. Okay, return type create needed. So Chef Java, public string, public int, and public string. Those all should have been declared. So let's see if the tester works now. Chef Alex works at Junior's Cheesecake and is best known for mac and cheese, macaroni, mac and cheese, which has 500 calories. Wow, that looks like it's working correctly. So let me try this from scratch like they suggested. Meal, I'm going to say chorizo, new meal, chorizo and eggs, which probably has like 900 calories. Cook chorizo meat in a skillet for 10 minutes. Then add beaten eggs and continue cooking in until desired consistency. So that's the creation of a new meal, chorizo and eggs with 900 calories. So now I'm going to create a new chef called J, and this is a new chef object. We'll call this dude Chef J, and he works at Mamacita's Cocina, and his best known meal is a meal called chorizo. And so now, if we do a little bit of a space here, and print out what Chef J does, and Chef J's best recipe. Let's see if this works. Chef J works at Mamacita's Cocina and is best known for chorizo and eggs, which has 900 calories. Cook chorizo in a skillet for 10 minutes. I think that's working how we want it to work. Okay, I think we're done with that, and that means we're done with Nitro 5.4. Woo-hoo!